shit. Here we go again.
Low, low, man. Low, low, man.
You like contracts, right? You're a contract guy.
I read contracts instead of conventional pornography, yes.
Slippery little bastard!
Nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
What's up, everybody? It's Hotel Room Mindset. Gonna lower the camera here. That's not scuff. It's not scuff. It's Hotel Room Mindset. So things are a little bit off for today. I'm back in the normal studio tomorrow, but I'm here streaming with you guys because I missed you. I missed you. And I got to get this Rampage Jackson info out. A lot of bad information. A lot of people misunderstanding basics of law, so we're going to focus on the law today because I'm the law man, and give people some basics, some legal basics, and let people be their own judge as to the intent side of the equation. But good to see everybody here today. I appreciate all of you being here, and it is good to see everybody getting into it today. We're going to have a nice little PP for you today. Actually, it's not that little. It's normal size. It's normal size. It's average. It's average size. It feels good. This PP is good enough to please anybody. So we got one for today. Don't worry about that. It's going to be great. Hello to you are wherever you guys in the world. Let me get these chats. King Lugia for 1, gifted 1 legal membership. Thank you. Crimson Splat with 5. Neko Girl 862 with another 5, and Robert Von Beek as Clippy with 5. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that.
Yes.
Get a
Emotional, damn it.
There we go. Spider versus early mindset. Big Buddha says early mindset. Pog. I know. Today I wanted to get this one out. I want to get it rolling. And the quicker I do this, the quicker I can relax and kind of lay down. Let me do it. Not do the one. Big Buddhist. Knight. If you have to ask, is this racist? It probably is, and it's probably not YouTube friendly. Big Buddhist says member for 8 months says today is law day for me. I guess I have you now, and Lawtism with Mizu. Oh, that's going to be nice. I will be reviewing tomorrow for you VTuber fans. I will be reviewing the MTD doc, the Vishojo executive, because he, in that document, let me just say this, and it's a little spoiler for tomorrow. He makes a lot of assumptions that are not the law, and I do not think his lawyer vetted that. But it doesn't say exactly what he thinks it says. Now, I'm not saying this guy is completely guilty. I'm not saying he's going to jail, blah, 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 but that's going to be an interesting one for tomorrow. But that's totally separate topic related to Vishojo. Artemis for $4.99. I've said it before, but thank you for not doing the dead air 5 to 10 minute stream than actually starting like a lot of other VTubers. Thank you. Well, I like to have a little bit of an intro because it gives me time to see if everything behind the scenes is working, if the audio is working. So I'd like a little intro, but I don't want to do 10 minutes. 10 minutes is too long. Right, so I may get, if I do trial streams again, I kind of want like a 5-minute or like 2-minute, no more like 3 to 5 minute, like bathroom break, intermission or whatever, like a thing I can play. But I can also, if the cord is going, just go off screen for a bit and come right back. Crazy J Voices says, if only Raja and RKI shared the same cell, oof. And Gimlo O'Gloin says, hello from Germany. Slightly off topic, but which would you rank stronger, lawyer or priest confidentiality? In America, priest confidentiality is all but dead. That is all but dead. Legal attorney-client is legally enforceable. Priest penitent has been broken so many times. It is not treated with the same rigor as attorney-client. So in America, it's attorney-client. There may be other countries, I don't know about, Ireland or the Philippines or like super Catholic countries that may hold priest penitent like super high under their legal system. I don't know that. That's definitely the case in the U.S. Marshall Jack Cooper said Jackson's innocent. 3 fingers in the wrestler's mouth. Oh no. All right. So we are going to get into this right away. No holding back, no teasing. This is full throttle here. So let's just jump into it with the PP. Let me just whip it out right away and not play with you guys. So we're talking about the Rampage Jackson attack. In case you guys don't know, Rampage Jackson is the son of Rampage Jackson on the left there. Their daughter, his daughter's there in the middle, and then Raj on the right. And he's a, apparently trained MMA fighter. He's in the kind of fighting tradition of his dad. But in case you missed the memo, he got in a little incident. He got in a little incident with a wrestler named Psycho Stu. I cannot play this. And I really thought about that. And I see chat, by the way, I see chat just really degenerating here. And I'm just gonna play the clip because I know this is for you, chat. Where is it? This is for you, chat.
Degenerates. You guys degenerates.
It's for you. Also, Bronwyn, thank you for the 10 Legal Mindset memberships. Appreciate that very, very much. Yes. So, I can't show this video. YouTube has been really, really picky, and even channels that are censoring it, that are playing it, like they'll get hit, like are age restricted a day later. We already were age restricted on our Dalgoon video or rather the video, one of the videos that I uploaded as a fast facts, because I think of the Somali clip, which is a clip I've been using for a long time, and all of a sudden YouTube is becoming, their AI or whatever else is now going back and age restricting stuff. I don't know what exactly they got. They don't tell you. They just say, hey, we age restricted it. So I'm, in the abundance of caution, I'm using this super censored photo, right, which I know is not going to get hit. But just to explain the situation in case you didn't know, he's in a fight here. Somebody goes down, and even after the person is clearly down, clearly unconscious, continues to pummel him for a period of time until he is pulled off of the guy. Now, one thing I will say is this, and I know there's a lot of experts here, like, for example, OG Bacon Pancakes. So super curious how you cover pro wrestling stuff. I'm an employee of a major wrestling company. Raja, in every sense of the word, was entirely wrong. Thank you. And it's good to hear this from the general community. So let me just say this. I do not assert myself as a wrestling expert. I watched wrestling as a kid a lot, right? But I am no wrestling expert. However, I am deferring to the expertise from what I've heard on the internet, from the people I've seen around the internet who appear to be in the industry. It's pretty unanimous that, yeah, Raja went too far. Now, what that exactly means in terms of intent and in terms of what his state of mind is, I can't tell you objectively and factually, okay, this is his state of mind yet. I need more information. I need more context, more details, right? And that's something, of course, is for the jury. What I'm going to lay out is the law, and I'm going to let you guys decide, did he have the specific intent necessary for this specific crime? Because a lot of people on the internet are throwing out words, and they have absolutely no idea what they mean, and absolutely no idea the intent that you have to have in your head to prove that crime. Mr. Paroxysm says, I just watched an Ace Attorney video. Now I get IRL Phoenix right. Okay, fun fact. I slept wrong the other day. So my hair was like sticking up in the back, like just straight out. And a friend of mine was like, oh, Ace Attorney. I'm like, oh God. If chat sees this, I would be so embarrassed right now. Luckily, chat is not here because I will never live the Phoenix Wright accusations down. Andrew B. as a new member. Kathy Swamp Queen says, mom mode, collar check and straight. Wait, hold on. Collar check and straight. It's a mom. I think my collar's all right. But thank you, Kathy. I think I'm doing good. You know what? I think I'm still looking cute, so I appreciate you, though. I appreciate the mom love. Patrick S. says, Twitch has to be on its last leg, almost second life. Yeah. Crazy J Voice said, this could be considered attempted murder, at the very least assault with great bodily harm. We're going to get into what it, under the state statutes, what it could be. We're going to run through all of them. I'm going to let you guys decide. Jay Skid says, I was watching the live replay, and Raja blatantly states he's going to mess him up, and he says for 50 subs, he'll knock him out. It was premeditated. No Name says, hey, hope Raja gets jail time, seeing that was disgusting. And Hezrat says, keep the gore, my pleasure. And Marcin says, what does the law say about implied consent when you wrestle? You might get hurt. I'm going to talk about all of these things. So all these questions will be answered today in our PP. Let's continue. So I think this is a very interesting message from Rampage, and there is some relevant information. Now, I'm not going to tell you that everything in here is factually correct, because there are facts in this message by Rampage that people would debate. However, there are certain things that are relevant to consider legally, right? So let me read through this, guys. I want to clear up misinformation about my son Raja. I've been confirmed that the wrestler Stuart Smith, aka Psycho Stu, is awake and stable. Raja was unexpectedly hit in the side of the head by him moments before the match. Raja was told that he could get his quote-unquote payback in the ring. I thought it was part of the show. It was bad judgment and a work that went wrong. Raja is an MMA fighter, not a pro wrestler, and has no business involved in an event like this. I don't condone my son's actions at all. He suffered a concussion from sparring only days ago and had no business doing anything remotely close to physical contact. As a father, I'm deeply concerned with his health and the well-being of Mr. Smith. That being said, I'm very upset that this happened, but my main concern now is that Mr. Smith will make a speedy recovery. I apologize on his behalf and to kick his situation. So first of all, look, I empathize with people, who are parents, who are fathers. Obviously, you want to protect your son, but you're also a trained fighter. So you should know, and it seems like he does know what is too far, and clearly this is a line too far. But one thing that is legally relevant, and I'm going to bring this up, is the concussion. Because the concussion, I don't know whether sorry, I almost called Ramsey. But Somali case is too much in my brain. I don't know whether Rampage knew this was a legal thing or not. But the concussion could be legally relevant. Okay, so people in the chat were saying wrong, wrong, wrong. This is not my statement. This is his statement. I already said that many people say he's lying, or this is wrong, or this is misinformation, or this is bullshit. The thing I'm focusing on from a legal standpoint is the concussion, right? And some of the other facts involving the fact that he shouldn't have been in the ring, because that is a factor which would go into liability. And we're going to talk about both criminal side and the civil side. So we're going to talk about both today. I know a lot of people are focusing on the criminal side. We're going to get both. Marsh P is a new member. Welcome. Bella Stella. What's up, Bella? One of my OGs for 20 says, hello, Andrew. Finally catching live. Well, welcome back. Glad to see you. All right, let's continue. So this is his current state for those who don't know. And by the way, as Heels vs. Babyface, this is a very good question, which I'm going to get to, because this is a necessary, not like, maybe. You need it to be medically confirmed and have an expert testify that this was a thing and that it affected his state of mind and his ability to form coherent thoughts and form intent. So that's a very good question to ask, which normally I would not answer from the chat, but he's such a sexy content creator, so I got to go for Az. And King Kanda, thank you, as a member for 17 months. So he's stable, but critical care. So the fact that he is in critical care points to the fact that this is beyond the normal level of contact in even a contact sport like wrestling or MMA, etc. Most people do not normally end up in critical care after doing what they're doing, right? It's not something that normally you would end up in. So if you end up in if that's the condition you end up in, something went wrong. So from a civil liability standpoint, Morgan & Morgan pops out, or all the other, plaintiffs' attorneys pop out their little heads. And that is a signal that there is, at bare minimum, massive civil liability here, right? So I know a lot of people are focused on the criminal part, and the criminal part's important too, but don't understate the fact that there's a lot of money on the line here. And it's not just the liability for Raja, it may also be for the wrestling school, for the broadcasting networks, for anybody else involved in this event, right? There can be liability that goes, out, spreads around, and is divided amongst the parties. So there could be a quite big payout here financially. And I'll get into the defenses or what else they might try to say there, but it's not looking good from a civil standpoint. Here's where Babyface for 20 pounds says, free message conversation. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I'll play a little. Yes. Thank you. All right, let's continue here. So let's talk about attempted murder. A lot of people are using this. And look, I get it. I do get it. But understand when you throw around words like attempted murder, you're implying something very, very specific. And it's very difficult to prove attempted murder. And while some people may argue it can be proved, and that's not for me to convince you, I am going to tell you the criteria, and you can tell me. I'll put up a poll at the end of this after I read through this and ask you guys, do you think this meets the criteria for attempted murder? And be honest, okay? So here's the criteria: that you intend to cause death, not just serious bodily harm, death. And the actions you take are directed towards achieving that intent, meaning the actions you take are to end somebody, but you were ineffective at doing that, meaning you didn't actually end them, but you were trying to end them. So the specific intent in your head has to be not just to mess them up, but to end them. That has to be in your head, your state of mind. It's called your mens rea. This is different than if you are intending to harm them and you end up killing them. That's manslaughter. That's something different, right? But in this time, you have to understand that's critical to getting attempted murder. And it can be either first degree, which is premeditated, or second degree, right? So there's different levels there. But that intent is something for both, whether it's first or second degree, it is required under state law, right? So here's the poll. Put it up, right? Do you think a jury, once again, not even you guys, a jury, everybody, could convict Raja of attempted murder? Think about this for a second. Because remember, a jury is that multiple people have to agree that this guy had the intent in his head to end Psycho Stu. I don't know what you guys think, okay? And while you're voting on that, let's talk about the next one, which is the one a lot of people bring up as well, which is manslaughter. Manslaughter is, in this state, once again, I use the state laws of the relevant state. So these are state laws. Of course, there's federal side, but I'm using the state. Unlawful killing of another without malice. So you don't need to have a state of mind for manslaughter. And there's voluntary manslaughter, which is a sudden fight or heat of passion. And there's involuntary manslaughter, which occurs when you commit another felony. So for example, if you're committing a robbery and someone died inadvertently, that'd be involuntary manslaughter. Or if you were, drinking and driving, right, and you kill somebody, you got manslaughter, vehicular manslaughter, right? There is no such thing as attempted manslaughter. So attempted manslaughter is not a thing. It's either attempted murder on one hand, or we're going to talk about battery. And we'll talk about assault and battery because a lot of people misunderstand assault. And they misunderstand what assault is. They think assault is battery, and they think battery is assault. But I'll explain what they actually are. So manslaughter is going to be hard because the thing here is the person has to be dead, and he's not dead. So manslaughter, while the state of mind it's irrelevant, so that'd be fine to prove, he's not dead. So unless he dies, like in this week, then manslaughter is probably off the table. So a lot of people said, oh, it's manslaughter. Well, he's not dead. So that's the thing. Marsha P says, hello from Scotland, keep the going. Thank you. Bronwyn says, from what I've seen post-attacks from Raja, he is not even remotely remorseful. He's blaming everyone but himself. And that's not a good look. That's not a good look. That is really not a good look. So let me get the poll here. So 53% of you think that Raja could be convicted of attempted murder. 55%, 56%, 44% say no. So it's pretty split, but the majority of you think it might be attempted murder, which once again, even I'm telling you, look, I'm honest, guys. That's an uphill battle. That is an uphill battle. It's possible if you interpret the video and you get an expert, let's say you get in a wrestler who's like, yeah, that's attempted murder. You get in people that saying, yeah, there's proof of attempted murder. And mind you, the police are going to investigate everything. The police are going to look into, hey, do we have enough evidence to charge attempted murder here? Because they might. But one thing they will 100% slam dunk on is battery, right? Battery is a absolute 100% slam dunk. It is a 100% slam dunk. So this one is when you willfully and unlawfully touch another in a harmful or offensive manner and was not justified. So a lot of people confuse it because assault is threat of harm. So assault is when you threaten somebody and they have a fear, right? They have a fear that you're going to harm them. That's assault. Battery is when you complete the act, when you actually harm them, when you go out there and do the thing. In harmful or offensive manner means either A, you physically harm them, which is what we have here. We have actual physical harm. Or B, you do something rude, angry, or disrespectful in a way they find offensive. So in this case, it's A. It's physically harmful, which is beyond just rude. It actually harmed the person. And there's no self-defense. There's no defense of others or no disciplining a child. Those are the three primary justifications. And I am going to talk about mutual combat. I am going to talk about mutual combat, but mutual combat is not a full justification. Self-defense is defense of others and disciplining a child. But this is not a self-defense case. This is not defense of others. No, they're not going to get that. They're not going to get that. That's not going to work here. Let me get some comments. Lucas Matchin says, Raja keeps self-snitching on social media. And all of that, remember, this is the big thing, guys. People in social media, they don't understand that everything they say is admissible in court. So the jury is going to be able to see all of that. And if they dig down on that, it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good. So battery for sure. Like battery without a doubt. Without a doubt. I have no doubt on that. Just I don't need to see much more evidence than that. Attempted murder, I think the stats in the chat are about right. 60-40, 50-50, 55-45. I think it's a coin flip on attempted murder. With the jury, you never really know for sure. But I think there's a lot of evidence for them to maybe take a shot at it. Joseph Kardychak, new member. Shadowfax says, in the stream, Raja said they'd pull them, that they'd have to pull him off before he stops. And that might be enough premeditation. But you need, once again, the issue here, guys, with attempted murder is he needed to think, not just I'm going to F him up. I'm going to end his life. And the prosecutors have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. So there has to be no doubt. So what I'm telling you, if 45% of the chat thinks that is going to be hard to prove, that indicates to me it might be difficult to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, battery, I don't think there's anybody that would disagree that's a battery, right? Let's go over to the defenses. So they're going to claim, and of course, people would claim mutual combat, right? Mutual combat. Saying, hey, this is a combat sport. And guys, also, no caps in the chat. Caps will get you timed out or banned, okay? So just real quick, if you're new to my channel, no caps. You're going to get banned. I love you guys, but calm down. OG Bacon Pancakes, I'm seeing it close to aggravated mayhem. I know the state statute for that is kind of off, and once again, you have to look at the specific state statute, the state where it occurred. Kapakuro says for €5, what would happen if the victim ends up in a vegetative state of brain damage to the point of needing lifelong assistance? Would that count as, technically, they're not dead. Now, if they pull the plug very shortly after, yes. But if they're in a long-term vegetative state and they're not dead, they cannot charge them with manslaughter or murder. They can charge them with attempted murder, but not manslaughter. That's a very good question. They have to actually factually be dead. Robert Vinter, would he be able to use a concussion as a defense while seeing he literally planned it for a while in this chat, asking for super chats and messing him up? I'm going to talk about that next. So you know what? I'm going to come back to this one. Chainmail Sean says, favorite lawyer quote, fish wouldn't get caught if it kept its mouth shut. That's very true. It's very true. It's so true. Tell it to destiny. All right. So mutual combat is a limited defense against assault and battery. But it's only in a specific circumstance where both of the parties clearly and willingly participated without intent to cause serious injury. So here's the problem, is that consent can be withdrawn at any time. And also, as I say in the last one here, in the last bullet point, combat can go past the line of consent. So let's say you're a boxer, right? And you're following the rules of boxing. And all of a sudden, someone's going full MMA on you. They're throwing out every single move. They're not prescribing any rules of boxing. And you are absolutely injured by that. That is not mutual combat because you had two different set of rules and one person did not agree and consent to those rules and follow them, right? Now, a lot of people, by the way, have commented that the referee sucked, that the referee was not good, right? So I'm going to take people's opinion on that. Probably the referee should have done better. Probably that was a bad referee. I'll put a poll in the chat what you guys think. What about the referee? I'll let you guys, good or bad. It looked to me not good, but yeah, I'll put that up here. Yeah, people are 50-50 on it. Well, we'll see. Let's see here. Blaze says, man, self-snitching is real. Very true. So let's finish with mutual combat. So mutual combat is an incomplete defense. So let's pretend that he can meet all these requirements. It still doesn't get him off the hook legally or civilly, which is for money, or for prison time, criminally. And here's the other thing too. In order to claim mutual combat, you have to say you did not have the intent to cause serious injury. And we have proof that he intended to cause serious injury. So by his own self-snitching, and still going on social media, according to the chat right now, still going on. This is absolutely off the table because he did have the intent to cause serious injury. That was what he wanted to do. And even Rampage said he could get payback. Well, payback sounds like serious injury. That's beyond what you agreed to. Prince of F. Petty says, so battery. Given the video on premeditation from his kick stream, what kind of sentence do you see? It depends. Could be 5, 9, 10 years, something like that. Possible, very possible. Max, but once again, there's a lot of other things to consider, right? And there's a lot of sentencing leeway, and he would be a first-time offender, from what I understand. Maxentius Decimus says for $6.99 Canadian, he said on stream he would hit him until he got pulled off of him. He premeditated it live on stream and said he'd do it for 50 subs. I know, and that's crazy, son. Just said ref is basically an actor, not an MMA official. Straight to jail, said that with no name. Howdy says for 5. Doug, the wrestler who stepped in to help, did an interview on the Scaling Up podcast. Might be helpful to watch from wrestler's perspective. Sure. And once again, I'm giving you guys the legal elements. There's a lot of people out there. WWE wrestlers have commented on this, and I would encourage you to go watch those videos for their perspective on what's right and wrong. I'm not trying to be the judge here of that. You guys can make up your opinion after listening to that opinion, those expert opinions. Certainly they would bring in a pro wrestler or a pro MMA fighter or whatever, somebody who's a pro to testify in court as to what is normal or not normal. So absolutely listen to those channels, listen to those experts. I'm not going to be watching those videos today for 2 reasons. Number 1, I'm short on time. And number 2, I want to focus on the law and just the law, not too much beyond that. Because there's a lot of stuff where, 2 different reasonable people could disagree, and I'm not in a position to, quote unquote, split the baby and say, okay, well, I know it's this way or no, it's not that way. Brian Gibson, for a member for 24 months, is base 24 months. Love the angle you provide. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And Ditzy for 169 Philippine pesos says, guy was out. People tried to stop him, and Raja still wanted to hit the dude. He didn't want to go away. Not sure what else he would want to do other than kill the dude. And at that point, it was a huge risk. I like Spike Man, what's up? And OG says, I hope the dude recovers. Me too. I'm praying for him, praying for his family, and for his speedy recovery. So another thing guys need to understand is serious injuries are typically illegal. Even if you have a waiver, even if you sign a contract, if you seriously injure someone to the point they were in critical care, once again, let's go back here. He's in critical care. That's not normal when you do any sort of sport, right? Let's say you got a black eye from doing judo, right? Or whatever else, right? MMA. That might be normal. That's okay, normal level injury. Critical care is not. So that's where, there's so many reasons mutual combat is just not going to work. But remember Rampage talking about the concussion? And remember Robert Vinter asking this question about the concussion? Let's talk about the concussion defense. Diminished actuality. This is very interesting because the relevant state, actually, they got rid of the diminished capacity defense. In fact, diminished capacity is what I learned in law school. I learned diminished capacity, but they've changed it to diminished actuality, which means you need to actually have that disease, defect, or disorder that doesn't allow you to form a specific intent, meaning your state of mind is so, to use a technical term, screwed up. Your mind is so crazy that you cannot form intent. You cannot form malice. That is really difficult to prove. However, I looked up case law on this, and there have been cases where a concussion can form the basis for diminished actuality if they can prove with a medical expert that it prevented them from forming a specific intent for the crime. So if they can get a medical expert to say that Raja was hit so hard, his brain was not working, and he couldn't form normal thoughts, then they may be able to prove this. However, this requires expert analysis and testimony. So they need to bring in an expert that certifies this and testifies this in court. Now, obviously, the prosecutors would bring in their own to say this is BS. But the problem is here, and once again, guys, I tell you all angles here, so you see everything. The problem is here is that if you have money, you can typically pay an expert to say what you want to say. I'm not going to pretend here that this is all ethical and everybody follows the rules. Just like with lawyers, there are lawyers that are not ethical, right? There's many lawyers that are not ethical. There are experts that are not ethical. We watched the Amber Heard case, and I'm not going to go too far and defame a person, but one of the expert witnesses, I'm not going to say who, I think we all know, was giving an opinion that was, let's say, I'm pretty sure he was paid a large amount to give that opinion. It was a very limited opinion, right? But the point is, you can get experts that'll say a lot of things. So, for example, in a self-defense case, or let's say a police use of force case, you can get two different experts in a police use of force case where one will say the cop was justified to shoot the guy, and the other expert will say, no, it was not justified, this was wrong, and you should have known better. And because it's so vague, that's what's going to happen here. So if this goes to criminal court, I am worried he could argue this, and this could be the basis for the argument. I'm not sure whether Rampage knew that or not, but obviously now this is a reality, right? And I'm not saying, guys in the chat, like, let's take a deep breath. I'm not saying he would win or that a jury would believe him, but I'm just telling you, based on the things that people are saying, this is the defense that the defense for Raja would probably bring up. Whether or not it works, we'll see, right? We'll see. First of all, we have to get the charges. And by the way, these might not be all the charges. There may be other possible charges, but these are the main ones I want you guys to understand. Let me get some super chats here and we'll continue. Eric H. gifted 20 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you.
Emotional damage.
Big emotional damage from my haters as those memberships roll in. Thank you. And guys, if you received a gift membership, please make sure to say thank you in the chat. New professional said, take my money, long lawyer man, or face me in mutual combat. Dun, dun, dun. That's good. That's good. Joseph, Cardi check. Says, what the fuck? On TMZ Sports yesterday, retired WE wrestler said in an interview that Stu deserves some of the blame for what Raja did. That's interesting. Once again, I think there's probably going to be people with different opinions. And there's probably people that like are friends with Rampage maybe or Raja that take his side, right? So I imagine some people may take sides on this. Medicated Bob says promotion sent text to wrestlers not to talk to cops. That's very suspect. And when I talk about civil liability, that's what's going to come up. Tiagara says, are mens rea and actus reus part of the U.S. legal culture? Yes. In my country, we need to establish both beyond a reasonable doubt to secure. Yeah, so you have to prove mens rea and actus reus, but some crimes don't have a mens rea, or rather they don't require a specific mens rea. So sometimes you just need to prove the actus reus, essentially. Carl, for 5, Aussie, said, does it matter in court if they gave Raja a wrestling receipt, an intentional act of payback by giving him one wrestler or another? No, because there's a certain level of physical violence that is not tolerated. So, for example, murder is not allowed. Attempted murder is not allowed. There's no waiver you can sign. There's no contract out there. There's no insurance that covers attempted murder that says, you know what, you can attempt murder, right? That's never okay. Same thing with battery. And this actually goes, it comes up, and I know this is a little bit of a gear shift here, but it comes up in like S&M scenarios where people cross the line with that and it ends up as battery, right? Where somebody is doing something that goes beyond consent, they're severely injured, and it goes in a battery. And there's a lot of cases on that because the people would have like an S&M contract or whatever, and those would be thrown out. And it's happened also in the fighting world, where even contracts, insurance, etc., they don't keep you from criminal or civil liability, right? Crimes are not okay. Mr. Paroxysm says, let's be honest, there are no expert witnesses, just people that think their opinion is worth more. Well, that's true. Sly Rye says it was a breakaway prop beer that Ken was specifically designed not to injure and was magic trick more than anything else. And once again, if he's super sensitive, then he shouldn't probably have been wrestling himself. Well, Deaco says in a civil trial, would Kick be held liable for only streaming his actions, but allowing chat? I don't know. Could they have a fraction? Sure. Is it possible? Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. I do not think it's likely that Kick gets massive liability on this. However, could they have contributory negligence? Maybe 1% or 2% of the whole. It's possible. If they break down the pie and say how much percent is their responsibility. Usagi Kimbo for 10 says, thing I go to is TBI, traumatic brain injury. Seems like Raja had a concussion and suffered another blow to the head, and short after had a violent outburst, same as DV and the NFL. Sounds like TBI. It's possible. But once again, that doesn't get you out of liability. Colin says, thoughts on WWE revoking Knox wrestling status after the fact? Can WWE be sued? Sure they could, because it's at the time. So regardless of what happens afterwards, that corrective measure doesn't prevent the fact that at the time they were associated, right? So that's still on the hook. That's more of a covering them from future liability, which is smart to do. Ish says he gets in the ring drunk daily. He's Raja Daly. Crazy J Voice says, on the civil side, Raja can easily be sued for the last wages, medical bills, pain and suffering, emotional damage. Exactly. Let's talk about that. So your civil liability. Okay. So what people are missing here, while they're overly focusing on the criminal side, is there are a ton of tort claims, primarily battery and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Those are the two that I think are a layup. Battery is intentionally caused an unconsenting, harmful, or offensive contact, which a reasonable person, a regular average day Joe, would find offensive without context, without consent. And yes, a reasonable person does not want to be beaten half to death into critical care while they're unconscious. Nobody consented to that, and that's unreasonable. That is a slam dunk. And I know somebody in the chat was like, oh, civil is a joke. No, it's not. No, it's not. Ask OJ about civil liability. OJ is still, I mean, there's cases in which they get off in the criminal liability. They're found innocent in the criminal, but the civil liability buries them for life. Buries them for life. So this is absolutely possible to ruin somebody's life. And not only that, but this can go after the insurance company, this can go after the school, this can go after anybody else who's involved in this, right? It can go after a lot of other people. People mention Kick, okay, maybe they want to give Kick 1% of the liability, whatever, right? It's not going to be 100%. Yeah, OJ, people know OJ. Draws Media said, would be arrested by now if he's an average person. Maybe. Super Christian Legend ZA says, was looking forward to you covering this. Also, do you have a chance? Yes, I did, but I haven't a chance to upload it. It's on my other computer, so just chill. I got it. I see you. Senpai's noticed you, okay? DP Chief 216 says, crimes are not okay. Legal Mindset 2025. Appreciate that. And thank you for all the super chats. And also thank you for the wonderful work. Thank you for all the work. You know, people like Super Christian Me World over there have done, remixes. People send me memes. People send emoticons. Always welcome. And I love you guys. But I love you, but no caps, guys. No caps, please. You will get timed out and your comment will be deleted. So I think this is a slam dunk for battery. And then IIED, intentional infliction of emotional stress. What that is extreme and outrageous conduct by the defendant that was intended or recklessly disregardful of causing emotional distress. Obviously, being beaten while you're unconscious or to the point you're unconscious and almost die is extreme and outrageous conduct that is going to cause some permanent PTSD for this dude. So yes, this is absolutely a situation in which both battery and IIED could bury him in legal costs. That's the PP today, guys. That's the PP. Do you guys enjoy that? It's a good one. It's a good one. So I do believe, look, the police investigation is underway. The civil lawsuit will happen. Absolutely. I would encourage Rampage, if Rampage is smart, he will settle with the family right away. Rampage and Raja, whatever, because I don't know if Raja's using daddy's money or not. I have no idea. But Raja will find a way to settle. And you're not going to get a good settlement if you're out there on social media doubling and tripling down. Right? Doubling and tripling down. Raja's not going to get a good settlement if he keeps doubling and tripling down. He's going to get screwed. And what most cases do is settle, right? But when you're not thinking right, and I don't think he's thinking right, it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good. Let me get some of the chats here. For 25 Canadian, thanks Andrew. You're one of the best on YouTube. Thanks for your analysis. Cheers, buddy. Hey, appreciate that. I'm gonna get some more help on the channel. We're also growing. If you want to support the Mindset team, go over to Ko-Fi/Andrew Esquire and support the Mindset team so I can help out, spread the love to all the people that help on this channel. There's so many people, especially my lovely mods, Danielle and JP. They're absolutely fantastic. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for that. Ad Robin said, it was said the wrestler flatlined in the ring. If this is confirmed, how could it affect the case? He's not dead. So it could show attempted murder, and it could push the line for attempted murder. Like I talk about, the specific intent is to kill. So it would push that. Ulysses Fartknocker said, oh God, the way you said school reminds me so much of the scummy lawyer from Beavis and Butter. Really? All right. Usagi Akimbo says, OJ literally went to prison for trying to rob the mobsters who robbed him of memorabilia he was selling to make payments on civil liability. This is how you can get screwed. Crimson Splat says, congrats on lack of PP scuff so far. It's been a good PP. It was a good PP. Not too long, just right. Just Jeff says, can the DA still file if charges are dropped? Nothing's been dropped yet, or no charges have been officially brought yet. So we don't have criminal charges yet. We will very, very soon, but we won't yet. But I do anticipate that there will at least be a battery charge in here. If they don't throw a battery charge in there, then they're just letting him get away scot-free. Gonson says, really appreciate your dedication to the truth and nuance. Wouldn't it be easy to be sensationalist? No, my pleasure. Look, once again, I want you guys to make up your own mind. I don't want my camera to make up its own mind because the AI tracking is ridiculous. But I want you guys to make up your own mind. And it's up to you guys to decide whether or not he had the specific intent for murder, for battery, or for something else. You have to focus on that, and then you can get into what he did was a morally shitty thing, was a deplorable thing, a disgusting thing. That's subjective. Objectively, you need a level of intent, and it's going to be an uphill battle for attempted murder. Not impossible. Not impossible. Could be attempted murder, but it's going to be an uphill battle. What does NSM acronym stand for in the battery context? In the battery context? I'm not exactly sure. You'd have to show me the statute, the specific statute. But I do appreciate that. All right, guys, listen. It's what I got today. Hang on. There's a fast facts coming. I love you guys. I'm going to be back tomorrow with some Vichojo. Until then, stay based.
You are coping the ceiling. You just can't believe what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping the ceiling. The truth it is all day, and now you are more than you.